Hello, we're Michael and Lisa, and today we're going to give a demonstration of how to work through a process called the Amends Matrix. That process was laid out in a book called Worthy of Your Trust, written by Jason Martinkus, which is an excellent book and worth a read. But today we're just going to focus on the 7-step process he calls the Amends Matrix, and that helps a man enter into his wife's trauma and help her to process the present pain from past betrayal. So it's a 7-step process, and we'll work through it. So step 1, first step is to identify the trigger that's occurring in the present. So we're going to use an example, my trip to the United States recently. So step 1, what's happened in the present is that during a trip to the US, during the day, I was out of contact for over 5 hours without giving you any indication of where I was or what I was doing. So that's the first step. So the second step is to identify what happened in the past that this is triggering into. So step 2, what happened in the past was that I always used my business travel as an opportunity to act out, use pornography, masturbate, lust after women, and the fact that I was outside of contact for over 5 hours during this trip reminds you of the pain of that betrayal on my previous trips. So step 3 is to identify why you did that in the past. If you can identify where your thinking was wrong, where your beliefs were wrong in the past, it can be helpful to indicate that you won't be fooled or fall into that same trap again. So, what I was thinking in the past when I acted out on business trips, I didn't feel very good about myself, and I had a long habit of using lusting and masturbating and using pornography as a coping mechanism. So it made me feel better for a short time, even though the cost in the long run was great. So step 4, which is probably the crux of the whole thing, is for you to identify how your betrayal has made your wife feel. So to the best of your ability, try to identify how this has made her feel. So step 4, how you feel. This must have made you feel absolutely betrayed, rejected, unloved, hated, foolish for being taken in, gullible, abandoned at home with all the responsibilities while I was off being selfish and doing whatever I wanted.
So wives, at this point, when your husband's done, identifying your feelings, you are free to correct him if you feel he's off in anything, and you feel free to add to the list, because often, they'll have some of it, but they won't have necessarily identified everything. So I might add, I also felt less than every other woman. I felt worthless to you, at least. So then at that point, he will try and repeat back what you've said to show that he's been listening.
Yeah, that's important. So you added that you felt like you were worthless to me and like you were less than all the others out there. And that's what I was communicating to you in this. So the 5th step is to tell your wife how it makes you feel to know that you made her feel that way. So step 5, knowing that I made you feel those things feels absolutely horrid to me. I am sorry. I can see that put you in a brutal place, and I wounded you to the core. And I know that it's taking you years to recover from the pain of this, and that you aren't fully through it yet. I am sorry. So this is the stage that does include the apology. So it's also enormously important. So the next step, step 6, is where you tell your wife how you actually want her to feel. So step 6, how I want you to feel. I want you to feel loved and cherished. I want you to feel like you're singled out for my love and attention. I want you to feel confident that when I'm out in the world, that my thoughts are on you and God and on honoring both of you. And I only want you to believe what is true. So as these things are true, this is how I want you to feel. And the 7th and final step is for you to cast a larger vision for your marriage, for your life together, and one that is compelling. So I believe that God is healing us in our marriage. I believe in His redemption. I believe that when we truly turn our hearts to Him, He changes us. And I believe that we're in the process of that. I know it's been hard, but I know that we are getting somewhere. And I believe that we will grow together and that we will cherish each other and have a better marriage than we've ever had. And that's it. That's the 7 steps of the Amends Matrix. Again, that's from the book Worthy of Our Trust by Jason Martinkus. And there's lots of helpful stuff in there, so I really encourage you guys all to read it.
Yeah, it's a good read for women as well. So this video is recorded to help as a supplement to the Beyond Betrayal study guide for couples. And I'll just add quickly, women, to, if you can, be patient as men learn this process. It takes practice. They're a bit clunky at first. So, but it's a powerful tool in your healing. It's a powerful tool for his healing, for your healing together. And so I really recommend it. As I mentioned in the study guide, women, if your husband is not into this and he's not really into healing the coupleship, if he's not into making restitution for what he's done, Jesus can go through this process with you, and I write more about that in the study guide. And I think that can be an equally healing, an incredibly powerful tool for a woman's healing. So
yeah, and for guys, this can be really hard to work through at first. It can be easy to freeze in the heavy emotions that come out. So I would recommend, and Jason does recommend this in the book, that you at first write it down in advance, work through it in advance. So I had trouble staying in the moment with the big emotions, and I found it very helpful at first to connect to the emotions and to my empathy separately in a safe environment and write it down. And then when I came back to Lisa, I could stay in the moment and still stay connected with those emotions. So don't be afraid to write things down in advance, even though it might seem a little stilted at first. And I also encourage you guys to stay with it. This is a process that requires repeating many times before you really see the benefit. But I mean, you really can disarm those triggers and help your wife into a much more emotionally healthy place by working through this with her.
yeah, that said, don't be surprised if she, if this process brings out anger in her.
Yep.
Initially, that's to be expected. You're actually leading her into her grief. So be prepared for that. If it doesn't happen, bonus. If it does happen, that's fine. Wives, ask for some space, whatever you need. Husbands, give it to them if that's what they need. And just understand you're helping her get through the grieving faster this way so that it doesn't drag on. And yeah, ultimately you're looking to completely disarm these trigger bombs.
Yeah.
So.
And guys, also make sure that you don't just spring this on your wife. Make sure that you asked her before you process a trigger with her, because this is an emotional process, and so she may not be up for it at all times. So
right.
make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, women say no if you're not up for it.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Thank you, Michael.
So bless you all. I hope this is very helpful to you. It's as helpful to you as it was to us.
Hugely helpful. And do read the book.
Thank you.
Okay, bless you.
Bye.